Hey y'all, it's Jenny and I'm back again in room 10. Today I'm presenting my paper that was a critique of a journal article, and the title of my article was These Children Aren't Creative, Insights from Beginning Teachers on Early Childhood Arts Education. So the title to me lent itself to make me believe that it would be about children who aren't creative and how early teachers integrate arts into their classroom. Sadly, the article, it really didn't mention much on why children aren't creative or how that shows up in the classroom. It was more so about beginning teachers and why they choose not to integrate arts into the classroom. So it was still interesting, but I felt as though the title were just a little bit misleading. So just a quick brief summary of my article. The author was pretty straightforward in their beliefs and findings as far as the study. The article was 4 pages long, so there wasn't a ton to be straightforward about, but it did let me know early on in the abstract that it was to be about pre-service teachers. I believe the study had 21 teachers in it. I'll get more into that later. And they were to be polled as to why they didn't really include arts much in their classroom. So in the first part of the paper, it tells us that teachers who've been trained in the arts generally feel more confident in teaching arts-based academic lessons, whereas teachers who really haven't been instructed on art are less likely to integrate it and just aren't really confident in their teaching of art into other subjects, and there is not a lot of self-efficacy there as far as new teachers are concerned. So there were several things that led to beginning teachers not being confident in their instruction of art or in the integration of art into their other subjects. First of which, it said that many of them, their self-efficacy of arts-based instruction was diminished by that of their supervising teachers. So interestingly, when new teachers tried to incorporate arts-based learning into their classroom, the supervising teachers weren't supportive of it and suggested that they take out the cutesy art stuff, that it wasn't really important, which we know as early childhood education majors, most of us, that the arts are important. So it's sad to see that the supervising teachers were so negative and shied away from that. Another thing was the supervising teachers' practice. So we have the supervising teachers' feedback, then the supervising teachers' practice. And their practice proved not to have a lot of arts included either. So when new teachers would see this, it would almost be like, my supervising teacher's not doing this. I don't think I'm going to do it either. So they would also shy away from it in that respect. And finally, the third thing that affected new teachers was the profile of the arts in early childhood classrooms, which basically meant to me that they weren't being instructed in their college classes on how to incorporate the arts and what that looks like in the early education classroom, that sort of thing. So, I'm sorry, my phone keeps going off. Awkward. So that too led to their self-efficacy and not feeling very confident in presenting arts in their classrooms. So basically, most of the article pushes for further instruction on the college level for early childhood education majors so that they are more confident. I think one of the things that concerned me was they placed a lot of this emphasis on pre-service supervising teachers and a lot of it on the lack of arts education. at the college level. Honestly, I felt like my supervising teachers were supportive of arts, and I felt like my my college experience encouraged that. But when you get into a district and the curriculum doesn't support the arts, I feel like that's kind of where the problem is. But that's my own little spiel, and it's not really important. In the study, there were 21 beginning early childhood education teachers who were all women, which I found a little gender bias there, and I'll discuss that later. But each of these women, it says they were between 21 and 45 plus years of age. To me, 45 plus could mean all the way up to 90, so I'm not really sure what they're implying here by 45 plus years of age. So I guess just for easy sake, we'll say it's between 21 and 45 years of age, but I felt that was a little misleading. Included in these people, 61% of them had a bachelor's in education, 14% had a primary graduate diploma, 10% had a Bachelor of Early Childhood Education, and 10% had a Graduate of Early Childhood Education, while 5% had merely a Diploma of Teaching in Early Childhood Education. So, I feel like the groups were a little bit skewed in that, I'm just going to leave it at that. I feel like the groups were a little bit skewed. You have 65% of one set of teachers, and then you have 5% over here. So I'm not sure that there's a fair poll of teachers, and the article addresses that in the end. But that was a little concerning to me as far as my critique went. Like I said earlier, I chose this article because of the title. And it sounded like, oh, this is going to be about kids and art and how it works in the classroom or what we're lacking in the classroom, when really I just felt like it was kind of a bully fest over supervising teachers and college programs, which I disagree with. Then it says, explain how this article pertains to our class. I think if anything, it needs to remind us that we need to push for arts education, and we need to be constant reminders for other educators and for administration that arts is important and that it's essential for some children in forms of expression or relatability, especially our kids who don't have a lot of background knowledge. When they have these arts and when they're able to use art projects to relate to language arts and to math and different things like that, I feel like it's more helpful to them and kind of is almost supplemental to background knowledge. Again, just my opinion. But so anyway, like for our class, I just feel like it's important that we strive to show others not only how important it is to use it in our classrooms, but also how easy it is. Like, it's so much fun for the kids to get to incorporate the arts, not just drawing, but, music. Like, which child doesn't like to have a chant to help them memorize their multiplication tables, or who doesn't like to draw out arrays for math or different things like that? So I think it's important that we show our co-teachers how easy it is to integrate and how much fun and how beneficial it can be for our students. Then it says, how can the information provided in this article enhance your teaching, parenting skills, or your understanding of early childhood education? I had a student last year, we'll call him T, and he had so many issues, came from just a horrible home, just a really bad situation. And because of that, because he was constantly being told, shut up, sit down, go away, leave us alone at home, he really wasn't great at communicating verbally his feelings. And so that assisted him in being an anger case. So throughout the year, he would have these temper tantrums, just these awful temper tantrums. He would throw things across the room. He would yell and scream and curse and stab himself with pencils, stab other people. It was just a bad situation. So anyway, I started allowing T, when he would get upset, first I realized that he liked drawing. So often he wouldn't do anything in class, but I'd catch him drawing. And these are like really amazing drawings. Like, I was so impressed. And I'm not a great artist, so it doesn't take much to impress me. But I feel like his stuff would have impressed art teachers and people like that. So, when he would get upset, I would allow him to kind of go off in a corner by himself and draw. And he would sit there, he'd take maybe 5 minutes at most, not ever a long time, but he would sit there and draw. And through his drawing, he was kind of letting out his emotion. It was sort of his emotional outlet. And so he'd draw his picture, he'd give it to me. After drawing it, it was amazing. He was actually able to talk through his emotions a little bit, whereas before he couldn't. So we'd kind of talk it out. We'd figure out the situation, how we could handle it next time, and then he'd go right back to class. And it truly 5 minutes tops. And that changed the whole day. I mean, if we had gone a whole day with him stabbing folks and throwing things and huffing and puffing and throwing himself out on the floor, that would have made for a long day. So 5 minutes out of my day was nothing, just to let him cool off, chill out, and get out some expression through art. So it really made my day and his day a lot easier. And I feel like that's just kind of a reminder. This article was just kind of a reminder of how arts can be just so healing for kids, along with being educational. So I kind of feel like, how can we afford not to include arts in our curriculum? Then it says, what were the study's findings and conclusions? It says that many pre-service teachers stated that their supervising teachers regarding the input or integration of arts education made negative comments. And they also were perceived not to value the arts, which I stated earlier. So this study was done in Britain, I believe. So it may be a little bit different there than it is in America. I'm not really sure how the college system is done there. But it's sad to think that that's how someone would start off their journey into education, feeling like, I have to do this and I can't include that, and there's no room for teacher creativity here or for student fun with learning. That was just sad to me. But as far as the findings were concerned, it says when beginning teachers had to decide whether to spend time on more important subjects or the arts, they chose the more important subjects instead. And it goes on later in the article to say that there weren't enough people in the study to make a generalization. And again, I found gender bias with only having female teachers, and then the age gap was strange, being 21 to 45 plus. So the study didn't really prove anything other than we need to do more studies. It was really just kind of a jumping off point and showed this is something important. This is something that seems a little bit off. This is something that would be good to research. So I was kind of frustrated about that because I was hoping for an article that would give me some great big finding and I would be all the better for it, and I'd learn something new. It served as a great reminder, but as far as findings, it just showed that we need more studies. I've already stated what I learned from the article. Then we go on into what is your critique of the article. I'm running low on time, so I'm just going to kind of run through this because I've pretty much said everything. I felt like the title was slightly misleading, as it didn't speak about children, really. It only spoke about early teachers not teaching art education. Not really sure. I mean, I can assume why children are less creative because of the lack of arts education, but as far as the study is concerned, assuming's not a great idea. So I wish it would have been more telling as to why they think these kids are less creative and who are we comparing these children to. It was a short article. It was only 4 pages. truthfully, my paper is 11 pages, so it was more than double the article. Like I said, I felt it was skewed because of the age, etc. I appreciate the study for what it is, but the scientific evidence is not sufficient enough to further the cause of raising the rigor in arts education. So like I said, we need more studies. And the study, I felt with only 4 pages, it lent itself to more investigation. I kind of wish they would have expanded on the study, broadened their group, shortened their age gap, added in half males, half females, and kind of gone from there. It really was a great start, and they were really onto something there. I just wanted more. Like I've said, I've overstated. The author seemed to overstate the lack of support from pre-service teaching supervisor teachers, and place the blame there. And I don't really feel like that's where it lies. I feel like the blame should really lie more within districts and with not allowing teachers to add to a curriculum, with making teachers simply go by the book, and not allowing them to be creative. I know it sounds bad. I mean, I sound like I gave it a horrible critique, but I really enjoyed the article. It was interesting. Maybe not informative, but it was certainly interesting, and certainly made me rethink the way that I do some things now, and maybe potentially know to educate my co-teachers. But thanks for your time. I appreciate you visiting Room 10. Have a good evening, y'all. Bye.